Welcome to Tech Intersect. I'm your host, Tanya Evans, and my life and work exist at the heart of law, business, and technology. Yeah, I've earned a few fancy titles and degrees over the years, but the bottom line is I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and lifelong learner, and I'm really excited that you've joined me on this journey. So what is Tech Intersect? Well, it's authentic, empowering conversations with really interesting guests who demystify complex topics to prepare you for the future. Because your future is now. And it exists where law, business, and tech intersect. Get ready to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. In this episode of Tech Intersect, I speak with Latesha Byrd. Latesha's work is centered at the intersection of self-discovery, career empowerment, and life visioning. She is the founder of Byrd Career Consulting, a 100% woman-employed consulting agency based in Charlotte, North Carolina, which has provided career development coaching and resources to 900-plus professionals in over 30 industries within the U.S. and internationally. Her clients have increased their salaries combined over $3 million, landing jobs at top companies such as LinkedIn, Google, Amazon, KPMG, E&Y, Salesforce, Department of Homeland Security, and many more. Latesha is also adjunct faculty at North Carolina A&T State University and a certified life coach and career coach. And if she's not coaching or speaking, she's recording her weekly career advice podcast with Living Corporate, The Link Up with Latesha. Now, before we dive into the episode, a quick mention about the upcoming Advantage Evans Academy courses I'll be teaching this summer. The first course, which begins June 30th, is From Cash to Crypto, teaching you everything you need to know about crypto and how to buy and sell, invest, earn, mine, and protect your crypto. And you'll create a wallet if you don't already have one, or figure out what that actually is. I'll send each student a little Bitcoin to get started. And for those who pre-enroll, that's enroll early, you get a bonus session about crypto taxes and a 1-year membership to cointracker.io to help you prepare your tax information the right way. My second session is Register Right, and it is all about how to create, protect, and register your intellectual property, primarily copyright and trademarks, and also to leverage your business to prepare it for brand growth in the new economy. We'll go through the step-by-step process to file your intellectual property, and I'll also provide specific and actionable information to protect your brand and your business. For more information about that, visit advantageevans.com today and be sure to join my mailing list to be the first to receive announcements and exclusives. Okay, time to listen, learn, and leverage. So let's get started. So today I'm really excited to be joined by career coach extraordinaire, Latesha Byrd. And if you are ready to take control of your career and your future, then you've come to the right podcast and the right episode to prepare for your future today, for sure. Because Latesha had the great fortune of working with her, and I know that you're a certified life and career coach. I also know firsthand that you deliver what you promise. And I love the alliteration of some of your promises, right? That she delivers what she promises. She can help you gain clarity, confidence, and control in your career. Yes, I love alliteration. That the poet in me really, really loves it. So, Latesha, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I am honored and I'm excited to be here to be speaking with you today.
Thank you. I know we'd had to do some shuffling and there's so much going on in the world. So for you to take your time out to speak with me today, to know that we're going to be helping a lot of people with this episode, I appreciate you, sis. So let's jump in. So one of the first things I want to share with my listeners is the beauty of your origin story, because I know that there's so much of that led you to do the work that you do. So can you share your origin story and why that has informed the type of career coach you've come to be?
Absolutely. I have been coaching for 5 years. I started my company 5 years ago in 2015. And over the last 5 years, we've served over 1,000 clients in a variety of industries all over the U.S. and even internationally, which I am really excited about. And sometimes I can't even believe it myself. But
Absolutely.
everything for me is really centered at career empowerment, at life visioning, and really just making sure my clients know to never, ever, ever settle in their career. I had no
Mm-hmm.
plans of being a career coach, but life has a funny way of kind of revealing things to you. And so I always had been super ambitious, even as a child. So I like to go back to my childhood. I promise it will
Definitely.
make sense.
No, I love it. Please.
Yeah, so I grew up in a single parent household, and my mom raised me. I am from North Carolina, so if we have any
Yay.
listeners in NC, I'm born and raised in Raleigh, and so my mom raised me. She is a school bus driver. She's been doing that for ooh, 20 years at least.
Wow.
And so, when I was younger, I experienced firsthand her struggles of managing the household as a single parent. And I really started to become fascinated with like cash outflow and inflow as it relates to managing a household. I
Right.
always loved numbers. So I was love math, love doing my little multiplication tables and all that stuff. And so I started to create budgets as a child. I mean, when I tell you I was like 10 years old or something, I don't know, like whenever we learned math, like creating budgets for my mom. So each month I would tell her, hey, mom, first is coming up. Got to pay the rent or it's going to be late after the 5th. You
Wow.
got to pay the power bill. What about the phone bill and all those other bills, right? So I used to create budgets for her. And I went to middle school, went to high school saying, you know what, I'm going to be an accountant. And it's so funny to me because I don't know anybody else who was in middle school saying that that is what they wanted to do. And so I did. I went to college. I went to UNC Charlotte, go Niners, and received a degree in accounting. And I went to NC State University, received a master's in accounting, was a CPA, and started my career with a large public accounting firm. I realized that that was not for me.
Right.
And so I ended up making a career change into recruiting, managed recruiting. And I was, 20. Okay, I'm trying to do the math right now. I was 25.
Speaking of math, right?
Right, I know. I was 25 and I led campus recruiting for another accounting firm for 5 offices, young Black girls, super ambitious and, just out there getting it. But I was managing recruiting for an accounting firm for 5 offices up and down the East Coast. Had a great time there. But this was the very same year that I started my company. I took the role in recruiting because first of all, I knew I would enjoy it. I realized that that was a field that I was very passionate about. And I also started my business really because I think other folks saw something in me that I had not really had seen in myself. And so I told you all that I kind of struggled financially growing up. So I knew college was my only way out. And I had 5 internships. I went straight into grad school. So I kind of did all of those quote unquote right things. Right. And people started coming to me for advice like, oh, you got into grad school. Can you help me? You got this really good job. Like, can you help me get this job? And I was like, oh, okay. Started helping folks with their resume and, and interviewing, and people started getting jobs and making more money. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, the next person that asks me for help, I'm just going to charge them. And that's how my business started.
I love that. You're an entrepreneur from jump, evidently.
Entrepreneur from jump. I thought that I was going to, basically like run my own accounting firm. I knew I was an entrepreneur at heart, but again, like accounting wasn't for me. Coaching found me. My purpose really found me. And I wake up every day feeling extremely grateful and blessed to be so young and to be able to walk in my purpose. Like I know that that is something that a lot of people have not yet been able to experience. And, again, that's why I am so passionate about what I do.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
That's really important. And your story resonates with me for many reasons, but there's an entrepreneur in me that's never far behind. In fact, I'm constantly referring to myself as the CEO of me.
Right.
And sometimes I loan myself out to corporations or universities. But even when I'm operating within the confines of an employer-employee relationship, I'm always looking for entrepreneurial experiences, or I guess we call them intrapreneurial experiences,
Yes.
ways to innovate within a larger structure. And I love that because my creative self, the lifelong learner in me, the one who, I care a lot about what I do and the impact that it has on others. And I
Mm-hmm.
also love the part of your story where people that resonates with people, and you had the presence of mind to respond and say yes when people, the universe, that spark inside of you said, go this way.
Right.
And so you may have experienced fear, and you can talk about that, but whatever you experienced, you still pushed through to actually go out and do it. And I can imagine that resonates with people too. So talk about that. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
people who, but for the money, the no
Right.
support, people discouraging. I find that most times we are our own biggest discourager. So when you come up against someone who gives you that resistance, how do you help them over that hump?
Mm-hmm. You just said a whole
Oh,
word that, I've been a huge risk taker, my whole life. I really have. And I've never really, I don't know what comfort feels like. And I
mm,
think, because of how I grew up, we moved up until age 18, we moved about 12 times at
right,
least. So we was always living on the edge. That has never
right.
been something that I have had to stray away from. But I knew that for me, I knew that I didn't really have anything to go back to. I didn't have anything to fall back on, if that makes
Mm,
sense. I saw the worst of the worst. So
right,
my motto has always been, well, what's the worst that can happen? Why not shoot for the stars?
right.
Isn't there a saying that says something like shoot for the stars and land on the moon?
Land on the
But
moon. Not a
right.
bad place to be.
Yeah. And so when I think about coaching, right, when I first started coaching, I'm not going to even lie.
Mm,
I wanted to just jump straight into like job search strategy. Okay, let's get your resume together. Let's talk about the
right,
jobs you want. Let's get your LinkedIn together. Are you networking? Let's get this interview answers in order. My clients lack the confidence. They lack the clarity.
right.
They have to know that they deserve what it is that they desire.
Mm,
Because if they don't, doing all of that other work, it won't even matter. And so I completely revamp my own coaching offerings to include confidence building. But then I also realized that without clarity, you're not going to have confidence either.
right,
And so we do spend a lot of time on clarity. But the biggest thing that I tell my clients all the time is why not set high goals for yourself? Like why not? And they typically
right.
can't give me an answer. But it definitely starts from within. So, that's why like I said, we spend time on that clarity piece. And when I say clarity, I mean, there's two parts to getting clarity. There's internal clarity and there's external clarity. You have to be able to do an internal deep dive to understand what your skills and strengths are, what you're
Hmm.
passionate about. How have you been able to add value in your career thus far? What makes you you? What makes you unique? And I've noticed a huge breakthrough once my clients really kind of drill down into understanding who they are. We don't really
Mm,
take the time to do self-discovery. You know, our society really pushes for achievement, you know, gold star, you graduate, boom, did that, here's your degree, here's your diploma, here's this, here's that. But no one is saying, hey, you know what? You are really walking in your purpose right now. Like, kudos to you. It's like,
Right.
oh, you got a job? Or I don't want to say you got a job, but like, oh, you got this promotion, yay. But what about fulfillment? You know, what about passion? What about enjoyment? So saying all that to say, when my clients come to me, it's because they've done those things. They're like, I've done what I was told to do. I was told to go to college and get a degree and start my career at this grand big company. Why do I still feel so empty inside, even though I have all of these accomplishments and achievements that I can point to? So that's why we really have to focus internally first before we even try to make an external move or action.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And I feel that that is even more difficult when, in the midst of crisis. We're talking in a time when we are in the midst of a pandemic due to
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19. This week in particular, every day you turn on the news and there's some killing of an unarmed Black person, and the added weight and stressors externally for someone, whether you actually have internal clarity and peace or not. God help you if you don't, right? But even when you
Mm-hmm.
think you've done all the meditating, you've checked all of the boxes of things that we are supposed to do. My
Mm-hmm.
therapist and I talk about me staying away from the shoulds. Anything I
Right.
should do, I'm in trouble already.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I should. That is an external drain, particularly because of the way I work. I'm I get my energy from stillness
Yes.
that I can then share externally. We talked a little bit earlier. I'm an extroverted introvert. I
Mm-hmm.
suspect you are as well. So
Yes.
I have to recharge. But I say all that to say the world is so draining that it's
Yes.
taking even more clarity, more confidence, more control. So do you find that you are having these conversations more in light of what's happening in the world?
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. And it's hard. It's hard for just people of color, you know, women of color to continue to move forward with their career goals and in their job search when the world is telling us that our lives don't matter, you
Hmm.
know, that our, you know, your degrees don't matter, your skills don't matter because you still, you know, are the quote unquote minority. Um, I am definitely taking a step back and just asking my clients, like, how are you feeling today?
Right.
And let's talk about that. And I've been pretty intentional about just showing up for them how they really need it. And you do have to take a step back and not, you know, we have to lend ourselves grace for one.
Right.
We don't do, we just don't do enough of that. And I've even learned that for me personally when I started going to therapy. That was the biggest thing that I took away from my very first session with my therapist is
Mm.
self-compassion. We have to give ourselves compassion, especially when, you know, the world doesn't, and to take a step back, take a break if you need to, take time off. You know, and that's what I'm telling my clients all the time now is you need to take some time off.
Right.
Um, if you're putting all of your energy into, you know, your job search and you're feeling exhausted, what's going to happen when a recruiter calls you to bring you in for an interview, or, you know, you do actually have an interview, you're not going to have any energy to give.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of Tech Intersect. Our conversation will continue in a moment, but first, a word on an exciting opportunity.
There's a more cost-effective and time-efficient way to reach your leading-edge learning and earning goals to put you ahead of the stiff competition in this fast-paced, tech-driven economy. You need skills, credentials, and a fast track to a competitive advantage. You need it now more than ever, and I can help. Invest in the future you've always wanted, and in as little as 3 weeks, you'll be on your way to greater autonomy, control, and opportunity in your life. The Advantage Evans method puts you ahead of the curve with condensed, comprehensive online courses, curated content to leverage your current skills and expertise in order to succeed in the new economy, live coaching with me, networking opportunities, and a digital badge on completion. Upcoming courses include From Cash to Crypto, Buying Your First Bitcoin, and Register Right, Protecting Your IP, Brand, and Business. Ready for your advantage? Well, get on the fast track to learn and earn at AdvantageEvans.com.
And now, back to the conversation.
Well, that's good that you have the presence of mind to show up in that way, because that means that you take a very holistic approach, that it's not just
Yes.
about the resume and LinkedIn, but bringing your whole self to the experience and being prepared for the future by taking care of yourself today. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an entire word as well. I'm going to say Selah, and then I want us to shift a bit or pivot, see what I did right there,
Yes.
about how you're talking about, or what you have observed, I should say, in career pivots that are happening right now. Perhaps there are people who were at a good government job, as they used to say, or something that was really quote unquote stable,
Mm-hmm.
and then found out how unstable it is. I see that happening all around me in academia, for example.
Ooh, yes.
And so now people are like, you know what? I wasn't very happy anyway,
Yes,
and I
exactly.
may not have anything to lose. What's the worst that could happen in this moment? Let me start that business. Let me start that hustle. Let me get out of here and go there. What is your experience, and what are people pivoting to?
Mm-hmm. Man, I'll be honest with you. I'm glad that you said that. I thought that in higher ed, I thought your job was secure. These
Honey,
tenure roles. Now, I will tell anybody that no one's job is secure, except
right.
if you are a professor and you have
A
tenure.
professor, right?
But now I'm hearing that's not even. I remember when I read that. I think I read it online last week. My jaw dropped. Like, whoa,
Right,
no one is safe. No one.
right.
The first thing that I would say for anyone that is concerned is yes, your job is maybe not as secure as you once thought it was, and that has been proven. But also, you have to understand that if you happen to be let go at this time, that is no reflection of who you are and what you bring to the table. That has
Mm,
nothing to do with you. We feel so guilty about that, and we put that on ourselves when companies let us go. But it's like, no, they couldn't afford you anymore.
right.
It's that is no reflection on your skill set, your experience, your contribution. So, like, number one is to please don't put that guilt on yourself. You don't need to even deal with that at this moment. The other thing when it comes to making a pivot is that for those that are still working, a lot of my clients had told me, like, I don't even like this job, like you just said.
Right.
And, because we are, staying at home and we're working remotely, we don't really have those distractions anymore.
Mm,
So many of us were living dual lives where we are working our 9 to 5 and then we're doing something else in the evening. We're traveling on the weekends. We're going to the bar and, just living life and having fun to escape
mm-hmm.
from our 9 to 5s. But when all of that is taken away, you are literally forced to really face yourself in the mirror. And I think
Right.
that that's why it's a very crucial time to do some self introspection and to ask yourself those hard questions. Am I truly happy here? What if my company says, okay, guys, time for us to go back into the office? How does that make you feel?
Mm,
I do have folks that have reached out and they've said, I've realized through this that I cannot do this another day.
mm,
And that is okay. And it's important for us to be able to divorce like the old concept of who we thought we wanted to be to get
mm-hmm.
us to who we actually need to become. Like, even for me, I mentioned that I started my career in accounting. I thought that I was going to be doing that forever. I was devastated when I started in that career and I felt empty and I
Mm,
didn't feel valued. And it was a hard pill to swallow because $50,000 in debt later and 5 years of college spent focusing on that one thing that I don't even like to do. Like I said, that's a hard pill to swallow, but everything definitely happens for a reason. I'm a huge believer in that. Everything that we're going through, it is a part of our testimony and our story. And I just want to say kudos and I have so much admiration to the people that are still showing up every single day, working these jobs that they don't enjoy during a pandemic, during, police brutality and all of the things going on in the world. Like, it takes a lot of courage and strength to continue to do that day in and day out, but you have to take a step back and get really real and honest with yourself.
If you're an engineer, you're a scientist, you love Formula One, you love cycling, you love learning about how new technologies are changing the world around us, then I thought you may want to listen into my new podcast, the Neil Ashton Podcast. We talk to leading engineers and scientists from around the world, hear about their life stories, hear about new technologies, and hopefully educate you and give you a better sense of how key things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, supercomputing are changing the world around us. If that sounds like it's something you might like, you should come and have a listen.
Such great advice. And thank you for sharing that. I know that's going to help a lot of people. And that leads me to asking more about the specifics of your services and the one-on-ones that you're doing and how you approach intake for clients, what you look for. Is there an ideal client? Because I know you don't take everybody. So what's the process of someone approaching you or a career coach in general to begin the work?
So I have a resume writing business, Byrd Career Consulting, where we focus on resume makeovers, LinkedIn makeovers, and interview coaching. So check us out, byrdcareerconsulting.com, and visit our what we do website to see our services and packages. I also offer one-on-one career coaching, and I take a small amount of clients quarterly. And we focus on the 3 C's, as you mentioned earlier, which is clarity, confidence, and control. I like to coach women. I like to coach women of color that are in corporate America. That's really kind of where I thrive, since that's what my background is in. But we focus on, I love how you said, a holistic approach, because that's definitely the style of my coaching. Being a certified life coach, I realized that I can't just go straight into talking about careers without talking about, the life aspect. We spend over a third of our lives working. And so career really takes a huge, huge, huge toll on how we live our lives outside of our work. And so coaching is a 3-month program. We really kind of drill down into what you would like out of your career. So doing some self visualization, career visioning, definitely alignment as well. Alignment between your skills and experience to what the type of roles and companies you're wanting to target are looking for.
Oh, I love
That's one
that.
of the biggest things that we do, because a lot of us kind of miss the mark there.
Right.
And so then we also focus on the confidence building. So that is making sure your resume is in order, your LinkedIn is in order. You understand how to interview well and how to talk about your experience and your assets in a way that will resonate with the hiring manager and recruiter. Then we move into control, which is all about not being overwhelmed and making sure you are always in control of your career, in control of the job search process. A lot of that is focused on preparation, on practice, and being organized with your time as well as your energy. So for coaching, visit LetitiaByrd.com/services. And I also have a membership club, Career Chasers Members Club, which is a community for women of color that, are likely feeling alone in the workplace and are looking for additional support of like-minded women that are looking for work. And so each month we have a different theme. Past couple of months, we focused on interviewing with executive presence and utilizing storytelling. And the month before that was all about just navigating the job search during the pandemic. And the
Mhm.
next couple of months, we're focused on LinkedIn, salary negotiation. So that is something I'm really excited about. We have 100 women, and I have a goal to grow that to 1,000 women. So
Excellent.
we will see.
I love it. I love scaling. There you go.
Gotta
Get some
scale.
alliteration around that. We need some other S's.
Yeah. And I wanted to give some tips for those that have decided that they want to look for something new
Please.
during this time. I just came up with this as I was preparing for our conversation today, and I'm going to call it the 3 R's.
Okay, come on, alliteration.
Right. I just love like letters and, words that rhyme. I need to take like a poetry class with you.
Yeah.
So the 3 R's, I have a 3-step framework that I would recommend all of the listeners to really follow if they have decided, like, number one, this job ain't for me no more, or number two, they have unfortunately been let go and are looking for new work. The first thing to do is reflect.
Mm,
I think anybody should do that.
right.
Even if you think your job is good, you think you're secure, I encourage you to still do this. So reflect. Reflect means asking yourself, was I even happy there? Right. I think we talked about that earlier. But also taking a step back and thinking about, like, what were those things? Like, what are the things that you enjoy at work, outside of work? How can you do more of that during your job? And that might warrant itself or lend itself to making a career change completely. It is possible. It is so possible. If I can go from accounting to recruiting, then I know anybody can make a change. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter where you live. We have YouTube University. I mean, it is
Yes.
so easy for us to get skills and to take these courses and get certified. There's so many boot camps out there. Like, I think sometimes being stuck is a choice, and
Mm,
also, you know, trying to play this humility role, like not wanting to, brag about yourself or put yourself out there. It's really kind of disguising a lack of confidence. So
mm,
you need to ask yourself, like, one, do I like what I'm doing? Is it time for me to make a move? If so, what are those things that I do like? And what's been holding me back from getting there thus far? If you can really understand what those roadblocks are, you can pinpoint what the problems are, you can identify solutions. So do some reflection. So number one is reflect. Number two is refresh. Refresh your career toolkit. We should all make sure our resumes are up to date no matter what. So make sure your resume is up to date. Get your LinkedIn together, and also work on a brag sheet. And that's
mm,
something that I preach about all the time, but that's a list of your accomplishments over the course of your career. How have you added value? How have you really shown up? If people have said, man, good job, you really did this, like, start saving those emails so you have something to pinpoint back to. The reason why I always, always, always preach having a brag sheet is because when it comes time for us to update our resumes and LinkedIn, we try to put it in resume terms, and it
mm,
just sounds very inauthentic. And so it always surprises me how many of us don't keep up with our accomplishments outside of our resume. Because if you try to do
right.
it on your resume, it's going to lose some context. So work on the brag sheet. So one is reflect, two is refresh, and then three is rework your network.
Mm,
So start engaging with people that you are connected with, whether that be through LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Like, don't sleep on social media. I had a client yesterday during a session who told me, I'm just going to go through my contacts in my phone. And I was like, girl, that is a good idea. I mean, you can find some folks that you haven't spoken to, and they could be the gatekeepers at these companies. We have everything that we need, within ourselves and our network to get us to where we need to go. And if we don't, for those that really do care about us and want to support us, they'll direct us and connect us as they can. But the number one way jobs are filled are through referrals. So we cannot sleep on that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. That reminds me of something. You know how people would say it's who you know.
Yeah,
The other side of that is who knows you.
that's
And the
right.
who knows you has really helped to elevate me in my career. And I love the idea of going back through. Sometimes that support comes from the most unlikely of places and people, for
Oh, yes.
sure.
Oh, yes.
And your point about the brag sheet is also really good. As a professor, I would always keep those notes so that in any particular time, if you and you know as a professor as well, when you read the student evaluations, most of the times they were great. But there's
Mhm.
that one student, always that one student, and you might focus on that. It's like, nope, I'm going to read these other 52 because they said
That's
I was
right.
amazing.
That's right. That's right.
So
You have
yes, you
to
have to remind
ignore
yourself.
that. Oh,
And
yeah,
you
you have to
also
remind yourself. Mhm.
do. And you're right that sometimes when people try to fit in the entirety of the story onto a resume, it may fall flat or it's difficult to, as you said, with resume ease, fit it in. I find that people also forget,
Yes,
just forget all the things that you do.
right. We do
So
forget.
having that list, we can go back to it. I love the R's. Let's say it again.
Yes. So, number 1 is reflect.
Yes.
Number 2 is refresh, and that's refresh your career toolkit. And 3 is rework. Rework your network.
Excellent. Repetition breeds retention. Look what we're doing here. We're
Yes,
educating as
that's
we
right.
go. I see we're coming up on time, and I know that you have to go on to your next appointment as well. So I want to, and what I will do is certainly include all of this information in show notes so that there will be linked through directly to your website and the services that you offer and your amazing Twitter feed as well.
Thank you.
But go ahead and tell people where they can or how they can stay connected with you and your work. And again, I'll drop it in the show notes as well.
Yes, thank you. So you can find me tweeting all of the time, and I tweet the things that other people probably wouldn't say.
There's so many I want to like and retweet. I might have to get like a new account
You got to get
just
a
so I can
burner
follow.
account.
That's right. Exactly.
See, I work for myself, so I know that I can say things that, others cannot, and no one's going to check me. So I try to tweet for us all, but you can find me on Twitter at Latesha_Byrd. And, I also tweet a lot of job search advice, career advice, like things that I may talk through with my clients that I think might help someone else that might be feeling stuck or kind of discouraged in their career. So same handle on Instagram at Latesha_Byrd. And, you can find me at LateshaByrd.com as well, or ByrdCareerConsulting.com.
Perfect. And that's BYRD.
That's right.
Excellent. Sister, I appreciate you so much. I'm glad we had this authentic conversation. I know that you continue to help me in ways that you don't even know.
Oh, thank you.
And I appreciate the way you move in this world. I'm glad that we found each other. Oh my goodness. I loved all of that Latesha wisdom. She just left us some serious gems in this episode. And one of the biggest takeaways and reminders is about being stuck. Now, the secret is that sometimes being stuck is a choice. So really get clear on whether dimming your light might just be disguising a lack of self-confidence. If that's you, you're in luck. I know it doesn't feel like you're in luck, but truly it is. You are in luck because it's entirely within your control if you are willing to push beyond the self-imposed prison of stuckness toward your best life. And the second big takeaway, the 3 R's: reflect, refresh, and rework. And the final R that both Latesha and I swear by is rest. Rest, rest, rest. That's all for now. Until next time, continue to shine.
Stay in touch with host Tanya Evans via your favorite social media. On Twitter at Tech Intersect. And on Instagram via the handle Tech Intersect. This podcast has been produced by Stephanie Renee for Soul Sanctuary Incorporated.